What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury, Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Face-off interrupted during the press conference. Listen, this happened live maybe about an hour ago now. And I just got off my live stream. I had to make it official with an official video. Look, the shit got real. Let me tell you guys something. Tyson Fury, I seen him walking back and forth, and I wondered to myself, what's going on with Tyson Fury? Why is Tyson Fury not sitting down? I seen Deontay Wilder. He started to put the earmuffs on like he attempted to do before the fight the first time. And shout out to Kate Abdu. She was like, listen, you're making me nervous. So he took them off for the respect of her, which was a good call because like some things had to be sorted out. And it came to a head today. Let me counterpunch. Tyson Fury came out with, look, you saying that I'm cheating. I want to know with all the accusations and the bullshit that you called me, you used 50 excuses. If you only had one you followed, I could believe it, but you used 50. Listen, if you think I had something in my gloves, that means your trainer JD's is on it. Where the hell is he at? Bring him out here. And it was crazy because it was like everything that I've been saying, Tyson Fury said today and asked today. You know, everything from the gloves. And see, the gloves was a situation where JD's was in charge of that. So JD's was responsible for looking at those gloves. For some people that's been under a rock, the accusations was Tyson Fury's gloves were tampered with. He had either taken out some padding, he had did something to the gloves that enabled his punching power. And Wilder's defense was, listen, with everything you cheated me from and everything you did to me, I was still standing. They stopped the fight because the trainer that I had was envious of me, so he stopped the fight. He said the referee was drunk. He said the referee had a crab in the barrel. He said his water was also spiked from the referee that he fired from closing the fight or stopping the fight early. And Tyson Fury was like, look, you needed all this shit, so why did you get another trainer if you felt I cheated you? And it was just like a question was asked from Wilder, like, well, why did you need to? But the thing is, when you start asking questions with questions, you know, that's only stirs up more arguments. You know what I mean? And Wilder tried to play it cool. He tried to play it safe. But at the end of the day, I think Wilder was starting to finally crack and go back and resort back to the old me because he was like, silence is nervous energy. Silence is golden. But then he was just like, well, wait, yay, I admitted I lost. I admitted, you know, this, that, the other, you know, and Tyson Fury was like, hey, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You said you did. You did not. And it was crazy because the way things went down, man, in that press conference, this is exactly what I was waiting for because eventually real's going to get real. You know, because there's no way that Tyson Fury is going to sit back and let Deontay Wilder say the things that he's saying about him. And then they didn't even want they didn't even want to face off. Because it was going to get to a point, somebody would have said something, and it would have been worse than it was in the first fight. Remember when Wilder accidentally poked his finger in his eye and all that shit into this day was created. That day, this would have probably been worse than that, a lot worse, because the shit was building up. Now, the trainers have respect for each other. You know, Malik Scott and Javen Hill, you know, Stewart, they had mad respect for each other because they go way back, okay? But as far as Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the animosity was there. I think Wilder wasn't prepared for that. But again, I think he thought that he was going to be allowed to skate through with those fucking earmuffs on and not be able to really hear anything, so he wouldn't have to respond to anything. But again, shout out to Kate Abdu, beautiful British woman. She stopped that shit from happening and, you know, disengaged Wilder from being distracted with his earmuffs. So that was a great thing I seen. And look, Fury, I think, owned that shit. He owned it. He came out with it. See, if they would have been ready to answer questions, which I don't think they were ready for, they would have brought JD's out. See, whenever the last time you seen JD's ever come forth about talking about the gloves? All we heard is a one fucking stupid picture, right? A picture of a glove, and then the first fight. We haven't heard JD's on his account because you know he was responsible for looking at the gloves, and it's the integrity that's on the line for him being a freaking coach. Okay? So if he's the coach and then he's saying that Deontay saying that he didn't do his job, me and Deontay would have had words. But I think it was a gag order from JD's, honestly, because he's that guy that's been behind the scenes and hasn't been talking like he normally does. So he's playing like the same role as Wilder. So nobody's really saying shit except when they get in front of certain selected cameras to talk and express the way they feel. But they really couldn't do that shit out in public. Now, Wilder did say, hey, he cheated me, and I think this and the other. I think after everything was going on, but I'm glad Tyson Fury took it to Deontay Wilder, because that was my counterpunch towards Tyson Fury. Like, why didn't Tyson Fury say anything? But this time he did, and it was hot, okay? And it looked like it was boiling up. It looks like something was going to erupt. And I think it was a good call for the face-off, because if the face-off would have happened, we probably wouldn't have had a fight, because somebody would have slapped the shit out of somebody in the entourage, and this, that, and the other. And then somebody would have got injured to the point that they couldn't have that fight. That would have been like some Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis type shit. You know what I mean? So, it was very, very interesting. But I'm glad Tyson Fury stood up for himself like anybody should do. You know what I mean? Because his father, John Fury, was talking about that. And he was like, there's no way in hell somebody would be saying that I cheated, because I'll be suing him for defamation of character. And that's another thing that popped in. Like, well, yo, why isn't that happening? Because, if Deontay Wilder has proof that Tyson Fury cheated him, well, then we shouldn't be having a third fight at all. I would be fuck the arbitration. I would be suing this man in court for cheating me. And I have all the proof from A through fucking Z exhibits to prove my claim and my case. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder nearly erupting in a face-off that didn't happen. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.